The Edo State Police Command has commenced a full investigation into the recent assault on Don Pedro Obaseki in Benin. Don Pedro was beaten and dragged to the palace of the Oba of Benin almost naked over an alleged insulting statement made in London during the meet and greet events of the former governor, Godwin Obaseki. Now, the State Police Command says it has seen the viral video of the attack and has launched a full-scale investigation to unravel the circumstances and those involved.
Dr. Pedro Obaseki was assaulted and he was rescued, was taken to the Oba Palace and was rescued by the officers at the palace, who then brought him to the police station. The CP, Commissioner of Police, CP Monday Agbonika, FDC, personally went to the division and the case and has ordered thorough investigation into the matter. We've seen the videos and of course the command is investigating the matter.
Well, Frank Tete, a lawyer and human rights activist, joins us now in the studio to look at this unfortunate development. Thank you so much. Good to have you.
My pleasure.
Merry Christmas. Hope you enjoyed the holidays so far.
Well, it was saddened by a number of developments, but all the same, we thank God.
Yes, indeed. And I wonder how saddening this assault on not an ordinary Nigerian, and even if it was an ordinary Nigerian, and there are no ordinary Nigerians really in my book, but this is... first off, let me get your reaction to this.
I think it was shocking.
Yeah.
And many people across the world haven't actually recovered from the shock because of the, the number of things that go with it. Don Pedro is not an ordinary person. And he's so well loved. And to also think that for someone like me, I don't know anybody who has promoted the Benin culture or respect for the Edo people more than Don Pedro Obaseki. And for obvious reasons, we are both members of the Unity School Agbaro Old Students Association and the Midwest Forum, that is former Bende State indigene. So he promotes it with passion, respect for the Benin Traditional Council culture, and particularly the Oba of Benin. And to do this to him is just a validation of what he has said, that look, the threat that the worst of us can actually, do harm to the best of us. That's what has been represented there. The shock is something that requires some therapy to recover from.
Yes, indeed. And it was really saddening, watching him in that video. I wonder if we have it so that we can actually play it back. But there's different versions as to why this happened. Was he suffering vicariously for being related to, an alleged critic of the Oba of Benin, or was it for statements he personally made in London?
When you use the legal term like vicarious liability, we should be talking about who should be vicariously liable for what has been done to him. Because the people that assaulted him said, and is on record, that they were doing it in the name of the Benin Traditional Council, particularly in the name of the Oba of Benin. So when you raise that issue of who is to be held accountable, at the appropriate time, after the investigation, we will know who is actually responsible. But you see, the most important thing is that it could have been prevented. Right. And then another thing is that we're looking at, a degradation of the state of affairs in an enclave, in a city that once was the bastion of intellectual, liberal growth. I'm talking about Benin City, that hosts the University of Benin, to which Don Pedro graduated from as a first class, graduate of theater arts and ultimately had a PhD. Now, and to give him that kind of treatment by some not ordinary street urchins, but some tout, to humiliate him in that. In fact, some of us are, very thankful to God that they didn't kill him. Well, they could have killed him. I know you saw that. In fact, he was actually fighting for his life, begging profusely that look, and I was ready to do anything. They asked him to kneel down. They knelt down. They asked him to crawl. You are doing that to Don Pedro Obaseki, one of the founding fathers of Nollywood, one of the very best we can use as to showcase our best in this country for our youth. You do that to him, and then some persons are happy. And then some people are saying that, oh, that was done to him in the name of tradition, a respect for what kind of tradition? A traditional ruler that is utterly, wholly powerless in the legal system of Nigeria. He cannot preside over anything. He doesn't. You see, tradition, respect for tradition is a matter of consent. So why would you do that to him? And then bring utter disrespect for a traditional council that we all have held very dear and hold in so much respect? Why?
And this speaks to the culture of impunity that seems to be on the rise in this society, doesn't it?
Not quite. I think it's the backwardness of our mentality. You see, and the refusal for people to learn, and the irresponsibility on the part of those who should educate us as a people. Our orientation, our psyche needs to change. Imagine that this is happening in 2025 in a democracy, Africa's largest democracy, that practices rule of law. Now they beat Don Pedro, stripped him naked, made him to trek 5 kilometers around Benin. Display what we used to see those days, that kind of name and shame, make him go through that ordeal, and nobody could say you are violating the right of an individual. Nobody could say this is a Benin son, you can't do this to him. But they were doing that with revelry, and then they were taking him down. The police couldn't prevent that. I mean, that's a state of anomy, and I mean that could not have been the Benin city where we all grew up. And I mean, it's unfortunate.
What remedies are available to Don Pedro? Can he get justice?
You see, the issue now is that it is not about Don Pedro. It is Benin City, the Benin people that are on trial. It's Nigeria that is currently on trial. The whole world is aghast at this time, surprised, wondering how would they treat a professor like that. And I mean, what is the response of the state? So it's about the Nigerian government. It's about the National Human Rights Commission. What is the response? Right now, we must appreciate that, yes, there is no evidence to say that the Oba Benin directed it. But you see, the burden now falls on the Benin Traditional Council to say that, look, they are not part of this. I mean, imagine the Amnesty International, demanding of the Oba Benin that you should distance yourself from what has happened. I mean, a statement from the palace is important in that regard. Then it is the incumbent of the Nigerian state to ensure that these persons, the perpetrators, are not only brought to book. Let me tell you, they have the choice of not doing anything, because what goes around comes around. If we don't improve the standard of human rights or respect for human dignity in this country, you might just be the next person. So it's not, the gods of yesterday who walked as if they were thin gods, untouchable. Look at what is happening to them today. So it's about preserving our system, and this cannot work in a democracy.
Let's come back to the core of the issue, or the alleged failure to declare the supremacy of the Oba of Benin during his speech that was delivered in London. What would you say is the consequence, or are the consequences of enthroning religion, tradition, ethnicity on national cohesion and development?
Okay, so this is how it works. When we decided, because in the opinion article that I wrote, we used to be a country that killed twins. We used to be a country that practiced. We used to be a country that practiced human sacrifices. But until we decided that we were going to be a republic, a country governed by law, and at that point, every other tradition or kind of religion or whatever the standard becomes subsumed under the legal system and the legal standards that we have. And again, even if they are traditional rulers, they become custodians of culture for the grace and glory that they represent. Nothing more. Now, it becomes a matter of consent. And I tell you, democracy comes with a lot of price. And I tell you, in this case, freedom of speech is utterly shameful for respectable persons like lawyers and journalists to say, because they are Benin, and again, so nobody should talk about anything with regards to the respected ruler, and as such, anybody who says or who does not say the right thing should be given that kind of treatment, in total violation of the Constitution of Nigeria, violating fundamental human rights which are equated with the very foundations of this country. That's the reason why I told you that it is not Obaseki that is the victim. It's not Don Pedro that is the victim. It is Nigeria that is on trial. It is the Benin people who have tolerated that kind of insidious act against one of theirs that are on trial. And you cannot tell us that it's about your person and that we should not say anything about it, forgetting that Don Pedro is no longer just a Benin man. For us in Midwest
State, former Midwest region. He's a leader. He's a unifying figure. For those of us in Unity School, Agbara Old Students Association, he's a shining light for the young ones. For the entire Nigeria, he is a prolific artist who has done so well in Nollywood, and he has made a prodigious, influence on Nigeria, and he's actually a tourist figure. That is not the kind of person you want to use to showcase the barbarity of a people who are respected. Let me tell you, as for those of us in Bende State, when we look at the Benima, we used to think that we think that they are offsprings of a different god. Because if you look at the history of those people and the things that they have achieved, the white man marvels till tomorrow. The kind of talents that come from Benin, and this is what you now represent as the great Benin Kingdom. No, it shouldn't be, and that's the reason why Nigeria has a responsibility to redeem the image of those that great kingdom. Because what has happened now is a dissension, to crisis, to anomy, and a disgrace, utter disgrace to what used to be a glorious kingdom.
Frank Tete, you couldn't have said it any better. Thank you very much. Frank Tete, lawyer and a Rise analyst, joining us tonight on News Night.